We're up. We're up. We're up. We're up.
Karmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say? Karmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say to the victims, to the family of the victims? Why were you armed, sweetheart? Karmelo, why were you armed at school? Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me.
Karmelo, you'd like to say?
I had the crowd next to
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Remember this guy named Barack Obama who had a white mom and a black dad, and he promised to heal all race relations in America? He was so powerful, in fact, that he said he was going to lower the water in the oceans. Let's go ahead and check in on his legacy, shall we, with race relations. This is the positivity of race relations in America according to Gallup polling. Would you say race relations between white and black people are good, somewhat good, or very bad? You can see for the better part of your lifetime and mine, it's been a very positive relationship. About 70% of American adults, white and black, say that the relationship between the two races are totally fine. And then something horrible happened. Barack Obama was elected president and decided to racialize everything, literally blackpilling the country, shoving race into every single topic, saying that Trayvon Martin would have been his son, fomenting riots in Ferguson, Missouri, and beginning a horrible descent of race relations in this country. And the reason why it's getting worse and not better long after Barack Obama has left office is because once you have stained the American psyche that there are different bodies of justice, different standards for different races, it's a really hard genie to get back in the bottle. Let me give you a perfect example of this. Now, if Austin Metcalf had stabbed Karmelo Anthony in the heart, killing him in cold blood for literally nothing, what do you think would be happening to Austin Metcalf? I can tell you most American cities would be on fire right now. People would be rioting, burning. They'd be canonizing Austin Metcalf. He'd get a golden coffin just like George Floyd. But you see, it was the other way around. And it was the young white kid who got stabbed in the heart for no reason, for a kid who was carrying a knife to a track meet. And what's wrong with this guy? And then after what seems to be just a disagreement about who's sitting where, the death penalty for the unarmed Austin Metcalf. Stab him, kill him. This is killer Karmelo Anthony. What's happening now? He's getting rewarded. He's getting rewarded for murdering a white kid. That's what's happening. It is a sick system. This is why race relations are here in this country, I'll tell you. And it started with Barack Obama, and this is the legacy of Barack Obama. Killer teen Karmelo Anthony's family reveals other plans for $400,000 in legal defense funds. Get a load of this. So he's being rewarded for murdering a white kid. They've lowered his bond. The judge lowered the bond from $1 million because he's a murderer. Here's the judge, ladies and gentlemen. Karmelo Anthony bond was lowered from $1 million to $250,000. He only has to put up 10% of that, by the way. But here's your judge. Let me make something very clear to you. If Austin Metcalf had done the murder in cold blood, then I would be advocating for Austin Metcalf to go to prison for the rest of his life, or the death sentence, or whatever. It doesn't matter who you are. You shouldn't kill anyone in cold blood, but you certainly shouldn't be rewarded for doing that. And that is exactly what's happening right now. It is an absolute sickness. Not only has Karmelo Anthony's GoFundMe raised $400,000, totally demonic. They're paying for the murderer to kill. But also now his bond has been lowered. And his family is now saying that they need the money. The family is saying that they're not even going to use the money to fight the legal battles for Karmelo Anthony. Get a load of this. The family whose teen stabbed 17-year-old boy in Texas plans to use the $400,000 in legal defense fund to move homes. So they're going to buy a new home. They're going to hire a private security, which if they do it the way that BLM did, they're just going to pay family members, right? It's going to be a massive fraud. That's what BLM did. In court, as he faces first-degree murder charges for the killing of Austin Metcalf, who died in his twin brother's arms after being stabbed in the heart at a track meet. During the hearing, prosecutors asked the father why he could not use the more than $415,000 in donated funds to his son's defense to pay the $1 million bond, which was reduced to $250,000 on Monday. So again, reward. Just 10% of that amount must be paid, meaning Anthony will likely be free very soon. Anthony said the fund was used for Anthony's legal defense, but he also disclosed the cash would be used for security to help the family. Anthony's attorney said regarding the money, it would be disingenuous to say there isn't money, but it's not a bond fund. The family needs to survive. So they're going to use they're going to use the money to buy a new house. This is why you have a zero trust society. It's enraging. We asked extremely woke Google AI black crime rates. That's all we put in. Black crime rates. Let's see here. Overall, in 2019, Black and African Americans accounted for 26% of all adult arrests. Black and African American adults accounted for 51% of arrests for murder or manslaughter. Of course, they just shove white crime statistics in there for some reason. Overrepresentation. While making up a smaller percentage of the population, around 12% of the country, Black Americans are overrepresented in arrests, certain crime categories, including violent crimes and murder and robbery. This is why we had Dr. Carol Swain on our program recently. She's the expert on this topic. She literally wrote the book on it. And we wanted to ask about these hideous crime rates and the dual system of justice in this country. Here's how that conversation went. It's fascinating.
We have to speak truth about the crime problem. Otherwise, we'll never be able to address the racial problems in America. There will be no unity because whether white people express it or not, everyone knows what the problem is.
Well, it's reflected in the data, and it's reflected in the data. There's a disproportionate. Here's the graph that we were showing about race relations falling off a cliff. It's a disproportionate amount of data pointing to young Black youths being incredibly violent and far outsized in the murder rates and in the violence rates. And that seems to be like a question that has to be taken head on. But it isn't helped with 500,000 people donating to Karmelo Anthony's GoFundMe when you can murder somebody and then get a lot of money for it. That's crazy. This is a system that is broken here. The judge just lowered the bond for Karmelo Anthony down to $250,000 for stabbing and murdering a kid. I don't care what his it doesn't matter. You stabbed and murdered someone,
right?
Like it is irrelevant if it's some old man sitting on a park bench, right, or a kid at a track meet. There's zero justification to ever stab and murder somebody, no matter what they say to you.
Well,
there seems to be this individual is getting rewarded, Doctor.
Well, he's certainly being rewarded, and for a while after George Floyd, it seemed as if the fastest way to get rich in America for some Black people was to have a relative killed by a police officer, because the city just immediately settled regardless of the circumstances. And I think that in the situation of the Black violence, it is totally irresponsible not to address it and call it out for what it is. And some of the progressives and even some of the conservatives will say, oh, well, we have to make excuses because they don't have daddies. It's true, they don't have daddies, but that's no justification. And I think that there is a moral failing, that there's so much focus on people about, I don't want to violate church and state. We don't want to have religion in school. But the young people that have no hope, they have no hope for themselves. They devalue their own lives as well as the people that they're killing. They need a serious intervention. And if we had leaders in America, and not just Black leaders, real leaders in America, they would call it out, they would address it, and some change would take place. And Bob Woodson of the Woodson Center, he's about the only high-profile Black leader. Brandon Tatum, there's some other people. I think that Turning Point USA and the people that were involved with Brexit, they are trying, but that should be something that we should be united on. The Black leaders have failed Black America, anyone who calls themselves a Black leader for the most part. And so it's time for other leaders to step up, hold them accountable, And it's time for the black churches that are in the back pocket of the Democratic Party because they get money during elections. They need to be held accountable. I mean, God will hold them accountable, but in the meantime, the rest of us need to hold them accountable, because part of the problem in the black community is that the churches have failed the inner city blacks, and government has substituted, for God and for religion and faith. I think we can turn it around, but it will not be turned around until some white people get some courage to speak up, and some black people that are on the sidelines, or they're not doing what they were elected to do, they need to own it. We have to own it. We can't talk about slavery. We can't talk about no dads. We have to rein it in.